That's my guy right there. If y'all ain't following him, man, go follow It's the Journey, man.
And now, coming to the stage, he hails from Brooklyn, New York, by way of the Caribbean island.
It's the bunker, yeah, this the bunker. This the bunker, welcome to the bunker. This the bunker, yeah, this the bunker.
Good people, what's up? Let's go. Listen. Happy Wednesday. You might be clear on what you want, but inconsistent on how to move or carry responsibility without a real sense of direction. Tonight's conversation matters because clarity doesn't change your life unless it turns into discipline. And discipline only matters when it leads to action that actually serves something bigger than you. If you stay, you'll walk away with one grounded shift you can make starting tonight to move from stalled to steady. No pressure. Just stay with us. See where it lands. You're tapped into the Breakthrough Bunker, where we don't run from the storm. We learn to dance in it. I'm your host, Murph, a.k.a. Mr. Motivation. And this space is built for people who are tired of feeling stuck, tired of playing small, and ready to move forward with intention. Whether you're with us live or catching on the replay, stay with us. This matters. Right now matters. Right now matters because many people aren't lacking ambition. They're stuck between knowing what they should do and finding the strength to actually do it when life hits hard. Tonight's conversation comes from someone whose world stopped in an instant, forcing him to confront pain, fear, and the quiet question of whether rebuilding was even possible. If you ever felt clear but inconsistent, responsible yet directionless, or unsure of how to move forward after something not shocked but knocked you off course, this will hit close to home. So lean in, not for inspiration, perspective that turns struggle into steady execution. Let's welcome to the bunker, good people, my dude, Mr. Jason Dennen. Jason, what up?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Listen, I'm flat out excited to have you here, man. We got people in the chat. Kerry, what up? We see Barbados in the chat. They international. They came to hear about you, brother. You know.
Good to hear.
Now, listen, Jason, let's get it started. Let's dive right in. Tell the people how we're connected.
Yeah, so Jeanette Brown, when I released my book a couple years ago, she worked PR for me and it became a great friend. And she connected us and thought we'd have a great conversation. So thanks, Jeanette. And she's the president of Excellence in Presence PR. So we want to give her a shout out for helping us out and connecting us. So she's a great person.
Yeah, Excellence in Press PR. Yes. So Jeanette, I don't know if you know this. I went to high school with Jeanette.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jeanette was always this fly shorty. Her kicks used to match. You know what I'm saying? I'm bet she's still a sneakerhead. And now she's just doing dope things in the PR space. If you're in need of a PR, tap into Excellence in Presence. Jeanette Brown. our mutual friend. So yeah, so that's how we got connected, man. Remember, in life, it's all connecting. Is good people connect good people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited to learn more, Jason. So listen, before the titles, before the authorship, all your the things you've done, who was Jason growing up? What was that like?
And I grew up in a family of 7 people, so 5 kids. I was the second oldest. Grew up about 40 miles from New York City in the suburbs of New Jersey. Lots of sports growing up. Dad spent a lot of time coaching us baseball, football, played a little college football as well. So super active. Always kind of pressing my limits from a young age. It was definitely, I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but super dedicated to things, baseball, football, things like that.
Mhm.
And always just looking to improve myself. I didn't call it like grind or anything. I just called it living. And I was just, it was like, if you're going to get into something, you might as well give it all you got and see what happens. You never know where you're going to get unless you put all your eggs in one basket and push forward. So that's kind of, I was always hard driving.
Wow. So parent structure, 2 parents, single parent.
Yeah, 2 parents. Um, great childhood. Grew up in the suburbs. My parents were teachers, so
Mm.
they definitely pressed education as being super important. And yeah, they definitely didn't feel the need to back off on pressure, whether it was grades or sports or things like that. They had high expectations and expected us to go out there and do our all and not quit or give up on anything. So
Right.
they were great role models. My dad worked 3 jobs because he was a teacher and there's 5 kids. And so the work ethic, my dad, he was the main example in our family of going out there and doing what you have to do to get the family to where we need to be.
Mm. So when you was young, what'd you want to be when you grow up? When you grew up?
Professional wrestler for sure.
Yo, who's your wrestler inspiration?
Got to be a couple. I mean, the Road Warriors, as far as tag team, they had the big paint, the big spiked
Yeah.
shoulder pads. They just beat people up. Ric Flair, of course. I grew up the Ric Flair era, styling and profiling.
Yeah.
Uh,
Woo!
Hulk Hogan, certainly.
Oh.
I mean, ripping the T-shirt off. I mean, yeah, those are all big inspirations. Bigger, larger than life. And I always say some of the skills you learn later in life, like public speaking, things like that. I said it's just like professional wrestling interviews. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's you turned up to 11, and that's the way you have to put yourself out there and speak. So people always make fun of your kid watching wrestling. I was like, that taught me more lessons than you can imagine.
Listen, oh, I was such a Hulkamaniac. The Macho Man Randy Savage, that was my G. What? Oh, that takes me
Snap
back.
into it.
Yeah, that's it. I got a picture of my mom, so she's like a fanatic, and I got to take her to it had to be the Barclays. It was a big wrestling joint, and she got the whole 2 of the belts. Listen, I don't think I seen this Joker happier in life. You know what I'm saying? She loved that. That's what's up. So pro wrestler.
Well,
Wow.
oh yeah, I remember building a ring when I was 10 years old in my bedroom so we could jump off the top rope. And my younger brother, so he had a crib that was in the room, so he could barely speak at the time because he's 7-8 years younger than me, and he would just point and say top rope, and I would say to my mom those were his first words, top rope, that he
Top
would want
rope.
me to jump off the top rope on somebody.
Oh, we coming in hot.
It
That's what I'm
wasn't mom
talking
or
about.
dad, it was top rope.
Right. Wow, that's cool. That's cool, man. So what you building now? What you got going on now? What's the thing?
Yeah, doing a lot of speaking, motivational speaking, inspirational speaking, however you want to define it.
Mm,
So it's based on an accident I was in and really trying to help people get through their toughest challenges, because we're all going to go. One thing we all have in common as human beings is we're all going to go through big challenges. And
right.
sometimes we just need a little guidance to get through that, some reinforcement, some tools. So
Yeah.
that's what I really go out and do a lot now.
So what's something you learned from failure that you think success could never have taught you?
Wow. I mean, being humble for sure and asking for help. I think I went through a lot of life going like, it's my responsibility to figure everything out. And when I got in my accident, I couldn't do anything for myself. A nurse came in one day and said, she's like, you need to accept our help or you're never going to get better. And kind of that shift of going like, okay, I can't do everything myself right now. Eventually I'm going to be able to do more, but
Right.
unless I'm willing to accept help, I'm never going to get any better. So that was a huge shift for me.
Right. Well, listen, hey, we gonna tap in because I want you to talk through, the accident and going through it after how things change. But real quick, if you're just joining us, you came at a real moment. This conversation is about to go deep. It's about perspective, turning perspective into discipline, and how discipline becomes execution when life knocks you off course. We unpacked a little bit. We're going to dive in a little bit more about Jason and have him share out, because I think we're going to get a lot of value of his story. And remember, everything we say today may not be for you, but it only takes one thing to change everything. So I want y'all to tap in. Now, before we go deeper, we got TikTok tonight. Shouts out to TikTok. I know I've been abandoning y'all or neglecting y'all rather, but we here. We're going to do the 3, 2, 1 with Murph, where I share 3 thoughts, 2 quotes, and 1 reflective prompt for you. Thought 1, clarity doesn't move your life. Commitment does. I talk a lot about commitment. And, in life, we all got objectives and goals we're trying to hit. And I'm going to share the 4 C's. I talk about this a lot, the 4 C's. When you want to accomplish anything, first you got to commit to get started. Then you got to be committed to that thing. You got to marry that desire for whatever you want to do. You got to really commit to that. Don't be interested, be committed. Then you got to be consistent. And lastly, you got to complete whatever you start. Those are the 4 C's I always tell people that you got to implement when you want to go from where you are to where you want to be. Thought number 2, pain doesn't change you. Honesty does. Pain doesn't change you. Honesty does. Suffering alone rarely produces growth. What transforms you is the moment you stop lying to yourself of what's required next. And Jason touched on something. He's one of those dudes that just did everything. I'm responsible. It's all me. And then life hits you. And he had to pivot. He had to accept the fact that he needed help. He needed other people. He needed community. All right. So that's something that we're going to unpack here shortly. And thought 3, execution is an act of service, not self-improvement. Execution is an act of service, not self-improvement. When your actions are anchored to something bigger than relief or validation, discipline stops feeling like punishment. I got a couple quotes for you. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. Whew. He said discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. I want that to sink right in the back. I like that. That's a powerful one. Whew. Number 2, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. Sometimes the ground gives way so you can finally build on truth. Sometimes that ground gives way so you can finally build on truth. And I got one prompt for y'all to just kind of stir on and think about. Where in your life are you waiting to feel ready? Where in your life are you waiting to feel ready? When what's really being asked of you is to choose responsibility first. We got an org partner spotlight. Hey, Young Guns, what up, Young? I got my girl on the text. Was funny, right? I think I texted this joker because they had the Chicago Bears, and I ain't heard from her, so I'm assuming I could deduce. Actually, I ain't. I'm gonna retract that. All right, before we go deep, let's take a moment to highlight an org that I really rock with out here in Worcester, Mass, doing really dope things. We want to take a moment to honor Girls Inc. Hold on, I gotta put them up on the joint. Hold on, Girls Inc. we want to honor. Give me a second, y'all. I got Girls Inc. All right, so I want Jason, I'm going to take you down for a second. We're going to put up Girls Inc. We're going to take a moment to honor Girls Inc. of Worcester because their work directly aligns with what this space is about: clarity, confidence, and building leaders early. They exist to solve a real challenge. Too many young girls grow up without consistent access to mentorship, safe spaces, and tools that help them believe in their own potential. Girls Inc. changes by equipping girls with life skills, academic support, and leadership development so they can grow up strong, smart, and bold, not just surviving, but thriving. If you want to learn more or support work that truly shapes futures, tap into girlsincworcester.org. Girlsincworcester.org. Shout out to my girl, Miss Tiffany, the executive director over there. Dope, shorty, dope. Super supporting the Girls Inc. movement. All right. Let's dive back in. So let's get into some questions. Actually, you know what? No, before I even do that, Jason, share with us. I always ask what moment, breakdown or breakthrough helped you go next level, and I think we can lean into your story. I'm sure you got the high level, what happened, how it happened. I'm super intrigued, and this is your space to be a storyteller.
Sure. So I'll give you the high level 50,000.
Jason frozen. View. Oh, listen, it ain't time to freeze. Jason, you there?
Yeah, you hear me?
There we go.
All right. Let me give you a 50,000 foot view of what happened. So I was skydiving. It was a Saturday. I was skydiving pretty much every weekend at this point. And I'm on my third jump of the day. Normal, sunny, beautiful June day. I'm coming in for a landing like normal on a field I landed on hundreds of times before. Huge gust of wind hits me from behind, picks me up, and slams me through the fence into the side of an airplane hangar going 30 miles an hour. So hit the building, blackout. They called 911, fly me via helicopter, Flight for Life helicopter, 50 miles away for life-saving surgery. When I hit the building, it hit so hard, I hit my left side. 10 of my 12 ribs break, impact my heart. My heart shoots from the left side of my chest to the right side of my chest. Doctors later tell my family, like, we've never seen this before where anyone had that injury and made it in alive. So first time they had ever done the surgery. I was in a coma for 8 days. Besides the heart, 20 broken bones, 3 other organs they had to fix. Spent 3.5 months in the hospital. 10 weeks I couldn't move because of all my injuries. And then finally I have the opportunity to try to walk again. And they told me I'd never walk out of the hospital because there's no way I was going home in a wheelchair. I wound up walking out of the hospital. They told me I'd never run again. I started running at the 6-month mark. And so after they told me I'd never run again, I said, well, I'm going to do a triathlon. Because actually I was laying in my bed going, I need to find some goal to shoot for. And it's a week after I wake up from the coma. I was like, I'm going to do a triathlon because if triathlon means you have to swim, bike, and run. So you have to use your entire body. There's nothing you can hide. So 1 day short of the 1 year anniversary of the accident, I finished a triathlon and proved the doctor wrong that I'd never run again. So that's the quick version.
Buddy. So, I got to do my homework before I tap in. And I listened to you give this 50,000 foot story on the, you was talking to, I think, a bookstore Q&A. And I was just like, and it was like a 6-minute clip. And I'm thinking like, in 6 minutes, he covers this. So what blew me away though, you said you was a week from recovery, a week into recovery, and you said, I got to find a goal to shoot for?
Yeah. I'm laying alone, can't move in my bed, and I was like, what? Because that's how my mind works. It's like you need an end goal, and then you push in a way that you wouldn't push unless I had a goal. So I was like, that's what I'm doing. And originally I said it was going to be a 2-year process. I didn't ask permission, or I didn't ask anyone what doctors would this be possible or not. I said, this is what I'm going to do. But as I'm recovering, I thought I was the worst patient in the world, and I was going so slow in recovery. But my mom lets me in on a story when I start running for the first time. She said, she said, I'm so scared every time you call me and you tell me what you're doing in your recovery and your rehab, because you shouldn't be doing this, because there's no way you should be going this fast. They said, they told us, so a week after I wake up from the coma, the doctors take my parents aside away from my earshot so I can't hear anything. And they tell them, it's going to take me at least 6 months before I can put any weight on my body. It's going to be over a year before I leave the house or do anything useful outside of the house. And I didn't know that. So I had nothing holding me back or something
Right.
saying like, this is what I'm working toward. I had my own time schedule that I made up myself, whether it was realistic or not, didn't matter. So the first thing I thought of when I'm there, I'm just like, man, I want to feel like myself again. And myself again would be doing a race, maybe not as fast as I could before, but I just wanted to finish because it would prove my body worked at least as well, good enough so that I could finish a race.
So now, I mean, so many things. Where where did this mindset come from, though? Like,
Well, I would say, you build a foundation that in who you are. And when you're going through a difficult time, you have all these things you can draw from, or difficult things you've done in your past. So you can run into new things, such as the skydiving accident. I didn't, there was not a lot I knew about how I was going to recover from the skydiving accident, but I knew I'd done hard things before and I had survived difficult things, whether it was climbing mountains or doing triathlons or, lots of other things. So I said, when they go, this is going to be hard to recover. And I was just like, now I didn't say it out loud. I was being humble, but in the back of my mind is like, I can do hard things. I've done hard things before. Hard is what I do. And, I kept that inside, but that's like, it kind of awakened me like, this is going to be hard. That's okay. So, I mean, I just built a foundation of doing difficult things and challenging myself in life and feeling uncomfortable. And I think, the biggest part of growth is when you're uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. And sitting on the couch and feeling comfortable is not going to get you anywhere.
so two things. One, I'm reading this book now. Hard times make strong men, and it kind of speaks to what you're talking about. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, I got my students, sometimes they think their problems are like the only problems in the world. And you just shared a story, and I'm still stuck on this story and like the mindset you had a week after coming out of the coma. And I'm just trying to think. So in your youth, is your dad, like, who inspired you? Because mindset's everything. And I'm a huge Dave Goggins, callous your mind, all the things. And really not for me, but for the people, it's like, well, how do you get your mind to be like that? You know what I'm saying? Because people are going through things not as traumatic as the experience you went through, but don't necessarily have that mindset or even a fraction of the mindset you had. So how you develop that?
I think it just starts in doing something that is going to make you uncomfortable. And it's setting a goal and not something so far in the future that it's going to take you forever to get to it. So something relatively short term, a couple months, and you have to do something and you're unsure that you could accomplish it at the beginning, right? It makes you nervous. And you have to, figure it out. So let's just say you hate running. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to do a 5K, which is completely doable for almost everybody. And it's like the first day you're going to feel terrible. The second day you're going to feel terrible. The third day you're going to feel terrible. And eventually you're going to get over that hump of going like, this is uncomfortable. This is just it's okay to feel uncomfortable. That's just part of the process. And I have to get through that if I'm ever going to get to my goal. And it's oftentimes, you create this, layer of like fear. And fear can either keep you safe or fear can hold you back from getting somewhere you want to get to. And the reality is the more hard things you do, you realize fear is just part of the game. You have to overcome that fear to get to the place you want to go. And once you realize that's part of the process and not something that should stop you, then you can get to things that seem so difficult at the beginning, but it's a practice, right? It's almost like building muscles. It's like if you stop doing it, even if you've done it once, let's say 20 years ago, well, that's great, but it's an active practice. So you have to continue to challenge yourself. It's not a one time and all of a sudden you're set for your whole future. It's a muscle. You have to keep on using it or you're going to lose it.
Wow. I'm just processing. And, it's funny because, like, for me, I haven't had an accident as involved as yours, but I remember like back surgery and can't do nothing. Like down for like forever, and then having to bounce back, and shoulder surgery. And this, I think, to your point, is in life when you go through these hard things, these things that you can't control, and you get through them. And you have several of these over time and over and over and over. Like when you see like a hard thing, it's like, you know what? I've been through some stuff already. I can push through. I just definitely want our listeners and viewers to like take that in. Like what I'm taking away is get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And I love he said pushing past your limits. I call them things stretch goals. I set these goals. I don't know how I'm gonna pull this thing off, but it's got to go down. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So listen, actually, let's pivot from there. 18-year-old Jason, looking back, what would 18-year-old Jason be most proud of, and or most surprised by?
Man, most proud of, I would just say, stayed the path. Something was presented to you that was really difficult, and you just took care of it, and you just said, this is not going to this is not going to destroy my life. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to get myself better than allow myself to be defeated by it. I remember one person said to me once, they said, I'm so proud of you for not giving up. This is a good friend of mine who, and it was after I got out of the hospital. And my first thought is, and it was my friend, so I didn't take offense to it. But the mentality was, I was like, what do you mean give up? Because I got in this accident. I was 42, I turned 43 in the hospital. And I was just like, give up. I was like, I didn't consider that as a choice. I was like, I'm 42 years old. I still have a lot of life to live. I need to get off my rear end, figure this out, and then keep moving forward and using this to propel myself forward and take something out of the accident and become better than I was. So that was kind of mentality from the beginning. What am I surprised about? 8-year-old surprised about? I mean, I think, I grew up in a relatively, a suburban lifestyle. There wasn't big adventures. People didn't go all over the world. It was a great upbringing. But, after I got out of college and worked a couple years on the East Coast, I said, this isn't for me, man. If I need to find something new. I can't keep living the same life. And not that it was a terrible life, but there was something missing. Right. And I quit my job and moved to the West out in Colorado, and life just took off from there in terms of, I had never climbed a mountain before. I figured out how to start climbing mountains, technical rock, ice, jumping out of airplanes. Eventually, one thing always led to another. And it was always just, pushing myself to see what I'm capable of. I'm most attracted to things that scare me a little bit in the beginning, because like skydiving itself, when I started doing it, I was terrified, because people have this outside view of skydivers like, well, they're not scared, they just have a screw loose and they're not scared when they jump. I'm like, that wasn't me, and that's not most people. I was terrified when I was jumping out of the plane. And the reality is, it went from terrifying, and you did enough jumps as it became normal, or at least my normal. And it wasn't terrifying forever, but it was overcoming that fear. That because when you jump out of a plane, you're like, can I hold this together to do all the important things to safely get to the ground? And there's lots of people that think they can do a lot of things, because I've had hundreds of people that I've met over time. It's like, well, I'm going to skydive, or I'm going to start skydiving. I said, great, do it. And they never get to it, because there's a huge difference of saying you're going to do something, you're capable of doing something, and executing it. And the execution is the difficult part. Talking about it's easy. When you're in that plane, the door opens and it's your first jump, and you look down 2.5 miles to the ground, and you're terrified. Can you execute the things you just learned for that class for 4 hours?
Right.
So, yeah, that's the key to anything. But being
Wow.
scared drives me.
That's wow. So you was like that as a kid too, huh?
Yeah, I was pretty driven in sports, especially. I was kind of a one-track mind, a little bit obsessive compulsive. I would say for sure. I mean, instead of buying a car, I saved up my money and bought weights and put it in my parents' basement so I could lift weights to get ready for football. And I mean, kind of that was my thing, and just training and getting better. And it was every you know things I would buy just as like, well, I can get a little bit stronger, I get a little bit better for football, and that was kind of mentality of always finding a way to get myself better at whatever I was doing.
Right. Huh. Man, I got a question for you. So what's let me think, what direction am I going with this? Let me see. What's the truth about your journey that sounds inspiring on the outside, but felt messy, lonely, or uncertain while you were actually living it?
Yeah, I would say training for that triathlon after the accident.
Mm,
Um, you know, when you tell the story, you get the high points and the good things, and
right.
but the reality of it is, when I decided to race, there was no way I knew I could do it. So, for instance, I had to get multiple follow-up surgeries on my elbow, and when I decided to do the race, I hadn't ridden my bike outside. At this point, I only ran a couple hundred feet, and running was kind of, would it be generous? I would call it waddling or dragging my leg behind me. And swimming, the week before, I just got clearance to actually get my arm wet. So I had no
Mm,
idea if my elbow could even, uh, you know, perform in a swim. And so I sign up in that situation. And the reality of training for that is it's a lonely place to train. I mean, you're going out every day going, for instance, for running. I would have to warm up and walk for at least 25 minutes before my hip and my pelvis, because it broke in the front and the back for the accident, was even loose enough that I could do something that sort of resembled running.
mm.
I mean, when I'm riding my bike, you get post-traumatic stress syndrome. So I'm riding my bike, and you would hear a car behind you, because people where I live, lots of people are riding bikes, and people get run over. There's 10, 12 people probably a year that get hit by cars and die. That's a reality. But I've ridden for years. But
Right.
every time you would hear a car coming next to you, because they drive within 3 feet of you, you get this PTSD of like, this car is going to hit me and send me back to that hospital that I fought so hard to get out of.
Get out
Like,
of,
that
right?
goes through your head all the time. And the first time I swam outside, so swimming in the pool was fine,
Yep.
and I have to test myself before the race. So on the reservoir not far from my house, there's kind of test races. And the
Mm,
first time I get into the water, and I swim, because lake swimming is completely different than swimming in a pool, because you have to guide yourself, you have to bring your head up,
check.
and I start freaking out. My wetsuit's like choking me, and I'm 100 yards in, and I'm just like, how am I going to get through this? I was like, I am hyperventilating. My heart's going over 200 beats a minute. I am just like freaking out, and I just go, you know what? Just keep going. And I think I basically doggy paddled, which I've never done in the lake, to finish this. I think they're going to
Mm,
pull me out of the lake. I'm going so slow. And I look at my watch and I go, that was way faster than I thought it was going to be. That was the worst
mm.
swim I've ever had in a lake. So,
Wow.
and I was like, and I'm only like a month away from the race. And I'm like, I couldn't even swim half the distance. So I'm driving home that day after that disaster. And I
Mm,
go, what am I going to do? The race is 3.5, 4 weeks away. And I was like, sign up for that thing next week and see what happens. So I sign up, and it gets a little bit better the next week. I'm still freaking out a little bit. And then
mm.
the next week, I'm like, I'm still swimming not poorly. Sign up
Right.
again. So I just keep on beating myself in submission to do it. The reality is, like, from the outside, it looks like this journey of like, oh, you just had this rise from nowhere. But the reality was, there was a lot of scary situations. There were moments where, like, I don't think I could do this. There was times I mean, I failed. I believe you have to test yourself because you have to find where your deficiencies are. Because if you
Mm.
don't, you can't improve it unless you know it's a deficiency. So, like I said, the first time I swam, it was a disaster. When I tried to run the 6.2 miles for the first time, because the race is 0.9 mile swim, or the one I did, 30-mile bike, 6.2 mile run. So without doing the other swim and bike first, I try to run the 6.2 miles. I fail. And like I'm
Mm.
making all these decisions to try to catch up so I don't fail on race day. So I
Right.
fail all multiple times. And I don't talk about that a ton, but I failed lots of times. But in order to succeed at the end, I had to fail all those times to figure out what I was doing wrong or what I needed to do better in order to get to that
Mm.
race day. And on race day, I finally succeeded. So there's lots of failures that go into ultimately a great outcome. But
Right.
most people don't know that happened because I don't necessarily talk about it. I mean, you asked me about it, so that was an awesome question. But most people don't. They just see the end and they're like, "Oh, it must have been easy the whole time." Like, no, it was
Yeah.
lonely and it was hard.
Listen, I'm glad you highlighted that because a lot of people are just afraid of failure in social media world. We just see the highlight reels, you know what I'm saying? And you got to peel the layers back. I tell my kids all the time, you got to fall in love with boredom. You know what I'm saying? The same energy you had when you signed up for that triathlon, you need that week 2 in when you tired of doing it. You know what I mean? But and I think falling in love with failure is a thing too, because like you said, that's how you figure out what's going wrong. If I try this thing, I try it. I have 4 data points on what doesn't work, and I can pivot. So I think that's really. I hope we take away a lot from that, our listeners and viewers. TikTok, what up, yo? Hey, what up? Who we got on here? Oh, I got Mook. Mook, what up? Garvey, and that's my G. Way back in the day. What up, boy? Perk season. Yeah, shouts out to TikTok, man. Double salute. Um, Listen, let's pause for a minute. Let's pause right here because what you just shared carries weight, Jason. That kind of insight doesn't come from a theory or optimism. It's forged through deliberate choices made when quitting would have been understandable. What you're really hearing is what happens when perspective is earned, discipline is practiced daily, and execution becomes an act of integrity, not ego. And that matters for everyone watching and listening because this isn't about surviving one hard moment. It's about learning how to lead yourself through the next one and the one after that with intention instead of fear. We're gonna transition into we get Jason to share some advice, right? So we're thinking about people who are feeling stuck or behind. When progress feels slow and the gap between where you are and where you want to be starts messing with your confidence. What is one non-negotiable daily action you commit to, especially on the days motivation doesn't show up, Jason?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to continue to make progress. The reality is, one, motivation is fleeting, right? You're not motivated every single day. And if
Mm-hmm.
you count on your motivation to get things done, well, you're not going to get very much done. You have to create a routine of doing things, and you need to create action. Like there are lots of times, for instance, when I'm doing rehabilitation, and there are days I wake up and my body kills me. And this is when I'm at home. I'm by myself. I'm just
Mm.
like, it's quiet. And I go, I don't really feel like doing this today. I feel terrible. So what I used to do is I go, find something to do and be successful at something small, right? I got
Mm.
up and cleaned the kitchen. Now, for me, that was kind of hard. That was rehabilitation because that forced me to stand up and do something when my body was completely battered. And once I found something small to do and being successful, how stupid it sounds, like I cleaned the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was something success based.
Right.
And I go, okay. And I felt way better. And I'm like, all right, get on that floor, start doing your exercises.
Right.
And you're gonna do that successfully. So it's really just creating a routine. Routine is what's going to create success. Routine as
Mm.
far as doing tasks over and over. The reality is and just for inspirational speaking, you pitch a million times in your sales to get it, and you don't get every single speech that you want. The
Nope.
reality is you have to keep on pushing, because sometimes in your mind you're like, I've pitched so many times. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, out of surprise, when you're one day, and all of a sudden your inbox lights up. You're like, I thought none of these people had any interest in it. And you're like,
Right.
you just got 4 emails in a row that says they want you to speak, and they want you to speak right away. And it's like, sometimes there's not a direct reward or a right away reward for whatever you're doing. And you just keep on having to press forward,
Yeah.
learn from it, figure out what maybe you're doing wrong, and maybe it's not something you're doing wrong. Maybe it's wrong place, wrong time with whoever you're pitching that sales pitch to. But you have to keep on pressing. You have to believe what you're doing is really important, because if it's not, you're going to stop. I always say your why is your everything. You have to have a big reason why you're getting to that big goal, or when you start hitting bumps in the road, you're going to give up, because it's not there's nothing at the end. But it's like, if you're doing something for someone else and you're in the service of others, I mean, there's no better reason to push forward. You're like, I can help people in their lives. And if that doesn't get you motivated, I don't know what does.
Listen, love that. I got this song called Why, and it talks about, like, what are your reasons? Because to your point, when you're on this journey of attaining your goal, life's going to beat you the heck up. And how will you respond? And it's that reason that you're locked. You started this journey for, that's going to keep you going. And I tell people, I used to say, I want to do my my doctorate, but my why isn't strong enough today. So we're going to hold off on that. You know what I mean? Because it's going to get hard. You're going to have all these commitments, and you have to still study, dissertation. So your why is everything. I like that. Let's talk about professionals in transition. For someone navigating a season where their old identity no longer fits, but the next chapter isn't clear yet, what's one discipline or decision that helps them move forward without needing the full picture first?
Right. Well, the reality is you have to start somewhere, right? You don't have a clear vision you're going into a big project, big career change, whatever. You can't know everything in the beginning, because go back to whatever career you're in you started with. You didn't know everything
Right.
on day one. You kind of had to take a blind leap of faith of that this is direction you go in. I mean, certainly if you're not sure, finding people that are in that profession and talking to them and trying to figure out, is this even a fit for you? Because oftentimes people always fantasize about other people's careers, but they only fantasize about the good parts. They don't know the bad parts that you don't necessarily talk about all the time, right? And everybody does it about someone else's profession. Wouldn't that be great to be this or that? And they're like, yeah, but you're not thinking about the 10 things that are a thorn in my side every single day that makes it a job and not fun every day. It's not it's a job. And so I think, modeling other people, trying to figure out if that's a fit for you, trying to get in, dip your toe in there, figure out what it was. For me, like getting into speaking, it wasn't like I decided to quit my job and go there. I mean, if you need money coming in, you need to figure things out. Figure it out a little bit at a time, build it up over time, and seeing, is this working? Is this what I want to do? Because maybe it's not the same thing what you think it is going in.
Listen, and I tell, even, and this applies to not just professionals in transition, college students transitioning out, career changes. I think the internship aspect, what's the other thing? When you shadowing, you like doing like shadow work, and go see what a week looks like in this job field. I always challenge people to conduct these interviews. You interview who's doing what you like to do. Conduct the interview. Have your thought-provoking questions and just unpack. What's the day in the life look like? What's something that you do that you hate and do this job that you don't talk about a lot? And really understand what you could be getting yourself into. I like that a lot. Apprenticeship. That is it. Apprenticeship. My last one, Jason, for leaders and entrepreneurs, TikTok, what up? Fleet is an entrepreneur. Shouts out to YouTube and Facebook. I know we streaming live. Thank you for being here. When the pressure to perform is high and others dependent on you, how do you personally decide what deserves your energy right now, and what's one boundary or execution habit you'd recommend to lead with clarity instead of burnout? It's like a two for one.
Yeah. As far as leading, I mean, you want to be as clear as you can. If you're leading a team in a particular project, here are the highest priorities. This is what you get done. This is a secondary priority. This is a third priority. So when they're coming to me and I'm in the middle of, getting this, this project done, I'm the financial industry. So it moves really quick. Money's on the line. So there's not like sometimes you're just by this, seat of your pants and you're making decisions really fast and solving problems they didn't realize that were going to happen in the beginning or shouldn't have happened and happened. So really having your team understand, this is the most important thing. This is what you need to put your time for, because this is going to cost us money if it's not perfect, versus something else that's like, yeah, that could wait a week. That's not like, I don't want you digging down into this and spending all this time, because that's not what we need to accomplish right now. So being really clear with like, this is the goal, this is the most important task we need to accomplish to make this successful, and these are lesser, they need to get completed. So I try to be as clear as possible with how you need to really lead and what you need people to do, and for them to obviously be flexible as well. Say, this is important right now. In 2 hours, this might not be important, and I need you to jump on this, as soon as I can. And I would say, we don't take things personally. If I snap at you in the middle of, hundreds of millions of dollars being executed, like, you come later and say, hey, I know you snapped at me, I snapped at you. We're all, we're fine. That's just what we had to do to get something done. Yeah. But it's building that relationship beforehand that allows you, it's not a big deal that you snapped each other because you were stressed out at the time. So I think being as clear as possible and building relationships with people is number one. It's constantly about building that relationship, not just a business relationship, but the personal relationship. About their families, about their kids, what they're going through. And that makes someone so much more loyal to you than just, hey, what are you doing for me? What are you doing for the company? Right. Because that's only going to last so long, and that will burn people out, where it's just like work all the time. And I certainly try to make it, as a manager of people, make time every time I have a one-on-one with somebody. I'll start it off with just like, well, what have you been doing personally? I don't care what you're doing for work. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're going through. So I know if they're going through a problem in their personal life, hey, we're going to build it in. We're going to figure out you need time off to take care of whatever you're doing. So I think that burnout factor, for at least when you're managing other people, is really understanding your people and what they're going through.
Yeah. I mean, a great advice. I appreciate you sharing. I think I'm reading this other book. It's about leadership. So we got to be crystal clear, right, in what we want. But the book was telling me, like, I may be thinking I'm clear and crystal and all the things, but how is the team receiving it? What are they hearing? You know what I mean? And it gave me an example. It was one line, probably about 6-7 words, and they repeated it 8 times, but each time you would inflict a different word in the sentence that changes the meaning. And I was just like, right? Because as a leader, you got to continuously be getting better. You got to seek clarity for yourself so you can continue to lead at a high level. So that's one of the things I was doing, and I was just like thinking about that. Like, I'm super clear. Why are we not executing? And I had to think, well, what are they hearing? Am I super clear? So definitely appreciate you highlighting that. Jason, I dropped in the chat your book, 8 Days Till Sunrise, Jason Dennen. I need y'all to go tap in. It's on Amazon. I'm going to order my copy this week and tap in as well. Jason, you got any parting thoughts you want to share before we tap out?
And I would just say, don't give in and don't give up. I mean, we're all going to go through tough times. Don't isolate yourself when you're going through the tough time. Don't think you're the only person that ever gone through it. You reach out, allow people to help you when they want to help you, because people will reach out and give. Don't push them off. But yeah, we're all to go through tough times. We all have that in common. And then, when you see someone else, I see it at work a lot when I see. I know what I felt like when I was going through a tough time and working all these crazy hours. When I see someone else become, a manager or something else, and I see that look on their face, like the stress is overwhelming, going over to say, if you need anything, come and talk to me. There's no judgment. I'm not going to the company. That has nothing to do with this. This is personal. If you're going through a tough time and you need someone to talk to and just bounce something off, and just whatever you need, come and talk to me. So when you've gone through a tough time, it's certainly be a person that is approachable for other people that may be going through that tough time you already went through, to help them navigate it, instead of make them do it on their own. Because I think in the corporate world, there's limited, depending on the corporate culture, limited what you should say, and you're scared you're not going to move up in the company if you don't, if you allow your personal feelings or weaknesses to be out there. Admitting your weakness isn't weakness. It's a strength, because you're confident in yourself. Say, hey, I'm falling short. I wasn't great here. That and if anyone comes to you and doesn't think it's a strength, then they're the person that's hiding a lot, that doesn't really want to be truthful about really what they're going through.
You know what? When you say that, you made me think of my girl, because growing up how I grew up, it was never a thing for dudes to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? And I got a hold of my girl, Brene Brown, buddy, one of my virtual mentors. And she talked about vulnerability is a superpower. And I was just like, and I realized I got her books, Daring Great, all the things. So when you highlight that just made it took me there. So fellas, being vulnerable, it's not a weak thing. It's a strength. You know what I'm saying? Jason,
hey, it took me hitting a building before I turned the corner on that one. I had to get it knocked into me.
Right, literally, right? Sheesh. Yeah. Man, listen, if you enjoy this, man, tap into Jason. Oh, I gotta put his I ain't put your hold on, Jason's socials up. Hold on, y'all. I got his socials up. Tap in. You want to hear more of his story? At JWD Boulder. And then also, that's his IG. Actually, you know what I'm doing? Put that in the chat. 8 at JWD Boulder. Let's put that in the chat. At JWD Boulder. That's on IG. And then I want y'all to see his website. Tap into his website, y'all. www.jasondennen.com. Tap in. Support. TikTok, go get that book today. Show your love, man. This was flat out a dope conversation. And Jason, listen, going forward, any way I could be of service, brother, you hit me up. I'll shoot you the DM, my number, so we connected directly, and we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Thank you so much for having me on. A great conversation. I appreciate your time.
No doubt. All right, listen, I hope y'all heard yourself somewhere in that, because this conversation was never about information. It was never about information. It was about intention. So let's bring it home. That's a wrap, good people. If something tonight spoke to your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it forward. Somebody out there needs that reminder right now. All right? Right now. Take a moment to reflect on your 3, 2, 1, because one bold step forward is always going to beat standing still. If this conversation challenged you, subscribe to the Breakthrough Bunker. This isn't just content. It's a space for people, community, commitment to growth, clarity, resilience. And until next time, keep believing, keep showing up. And you know my quote, nothing changes if nothing changes. Do remember, good people, you already know, it is all about you.
I put it on my
hood grown, NY, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy. I done came from the lowest lows, still walk with my head high. All my life, I've been through it. Made it out, and I'm getting to it. Can't tell me I didn't do it. No passing L's, we skipping clubs. No taking L's, we getting dubs.